We are Canadian.
In a world of chaos and division, there's a land that stands apart. A land where mountains touch the sky, lakes stretch for miles, and healthcare is as free as the people. A land of kindness, resilience, moose, and beavers. With dynamic cities that pulse with energy and a spirit of multiculturalism that welcomes the world with open arms. This is Canada. And no, Trump, you can't have it.
So get this, Dave. Trump's threat of 25% tariffs on Canadian imports could cause a 2.6 drop in our GDP and cause a recession. That is very scary. But here's the kicker. If Canada just stopped blocking trade between our provinces, we could boost our GDP by 3 to 7%. We've been sabotaging ourselves harder than Trump ever could. And just this week, Trump doubled down on his idea claiming that America doesn't need Canadian imports. Let's start with oil and gas because honestly, this one's laughable.
America imports over 3.5 million barrels of oil daily from Canada. And fun fact, most of that goes straight to US refineries. Without it, Texans wouldn't just lose jobs, they'd lose their weekend NASCAR fuel.
But oil isn't the only thing Trump claims that the US doesn't need. Let's talk about cars.
Did you know that Canadian factories produce hundreds of thousands of vehicles every year for brands like Ford, GM, and Toyota? They're part of an integrated North American supply chain. And without those cars, dealerships in the US would be emptier than Trump's rally in Tulsa.
But sure, America doesn't need those cars, just like Trump doesn't need Truth Social. 'Cause you know he can't stop ranting from the toilet in the middle of the night.
Then there's softwood lumber. Trump thinks America can just chop down its trees and build all the homes it needs. Well, I guess he missed the memo that Canadian lumber makes up over 25% of the US supply.
Yeah, without our lumber, your dream house would cost twice as much and your deck would look like it was built by toddlers.
This whole "we don't need Canada" thing isn't just wrong, it's hilariously wrong. Canada and the US are like that odd couple in a sitcom. Canada is the calm, reliable roommate, and America is that over-the-top drama queen who can't stop making bad decisions. This America doesn't need Canada idea, it's just another one of Trump's alternative facts. Canada and the US are stronger together, whether Trump likes it or not. Apparently, we've been freeloading, drinking their maple-flavored Kool-Aid, and skipping on the bill. Spoiler alert, that's not how this works.
Here's the reality, people. Debt isn't one-sided. Did you know that the US owes $7.9 trillion in debt to foreign countries? And guess who's one of their biggest creditors? Canada! But you don't hear us constantly saying, you owe us money.
The US owes us $328.7 billion. It's Uncle Sam saying, thanks for the loan up there, eh?
Some people seem to think Canada's just taking handouts. Meanwhile, we're buying billions of dollars in US goods and services every year. It's not charity, it's trade.
Canada and the US are like roommates who split the rent, but somehow now Uncle Sam keeps pretending he's covering everything while we're in the kitchen making dinner. It just doesn't make sense.
Hey, and it's not just us. Japan holds $1.1 trillion in US debt. China owns $749 billion. So Trump, as usual, is pointing the finger when he is the one that's guilty.
So before Trump looks over the border up here, maybe he should look around the world and see how much money the US actually owes other countries.
Like Canada. Because honestly, without countries like us, the American economy would be shakier than Trump holding a Bible. And hey, we Canadians, we don't mind helping out our neighbors. That's how it's always been done. But maybe next time you could show a little gratitude. It wouldn't hurt you that much, eh?
Canadians are coming together more than ever. We haven't seen this kind of Canadian pride since the Tragically Hip played their final show in Kingston. Even Danielle Smith and Doug Ford said we need to start talking and opening up those interprovincial borders. After hearing that, I think that is the wake-up call that all Canadian provinces need to work together. Let Alberta send some oil east. Quebec, they can share their maple syrup. And BC, pass around those bottles of wine. Think about it. We'd be an economic powerhouse if we acted more like teammates and less like rival hockey teams.
All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room, Elon Musk. The guy, for reasons unknown, decided to casually whip out a Nazi salute. Was it ironic? Was it a glitch in his robot persona? You can't just wave your arm around and expect us to believe you were ordering Uber Eats. And then here's the kicker. Pierre Poilievre didn't even flinch when Musk endorsed him. He was like, sure, my son wants to go to Mars and Elon's got the rocket, so why not? Really, PP? That's your standard? A free one-way ticket to Mars? This isn't Willy Wonka's chocolate factory in space.
And let's be clear, Nazis have no place in Canada, or anywhere else for that matter. We've fought this fight before, and we're not about to let a billionaire space Karen and his galaxy brain salute bring that nonsense back.
Ooh, and now it's time for Canada's weekly plot twist. I love these. Just when you thought the Liberals were toast, they've bounced back to 32% in the polls, tying their 2021 numbers.
It turns out that Trudeau resigning was probably the best PR move they have made in years. Add a dash of a leadership race drama and Trump's antics inspiring Canadian unity, and boom, they're back in the game.
Meanwhile, Skippy's still yelling about the carbon tax like it's 2019. But Canadians, we've moved on. Ontario's a dead heat. Quebec's leaning liberal again. And the NDP? Poor Jagmeet. His bring down the government threat flopped harder than a Leafs playoff run.
So, the long story short, Conservatives are still leading, but a majority? It's not looking likely at this point. So buckle up, Canada. This election is shaping up to be spicier than poutine with ghost peppers. Ooh, that sounds good.
But wait, there's more.
Of course there is.
Trump's pushing for a third term. You heard me. A Republican actually proposed amending the Constitution to make this happen. Because what screams freedom more than a president for life? It's a plan straight out of the Kim Jong-un playbook. Because nothing says democracy like never leaving office.
Remember, before the last election, he bragged about figuring out elections so you wouldn't need to vote again? Heck, he also said that he had the votes that he needed. He even said Elon Musk knows those voting machines so well, and we won by a landslide.
The fix was in. So do you really think he's planning on leaving? He can't leave office. He'd be in jail faster than the pardons he made for the January 6th rioters. That's not a solution. That's a dictatorship starter pack.
And speaking of those pardons, what about the rioters who attacked police officers on January 6th? Because nothing screams supporting law enforcement like setting free the very people who beat cops with flagpoles, sprayed them with bear mace, and caused absolute chaos.
Let's talk about Officer Brian Sicknick, who died the next day after being assaulted and repeatedly sprayed with chemical irritants. They ruled his death as natural causes, citing the strokes, but let's be honest, it's clear the events of that day triggered his death.
Knowing your co-workers were being beaten, attacked, and in some cases killed, and now watching the same government you defended pardon their attackers? Talk about the ultimate betrayal. Those rioters weren't patriots. They were protesters. They were criminals. And letting them walk free isn't justice. It's a slap in the face to every police officer and every family that lost someone that day. And do we really want Pierre Poilievre at the helm if something like that happens? Let's not forget, this is the guy who proudly supported the truckers' convoy, a movement that shut down Ottawa, blocked border crossings, and cost the Canadian economy billions of dollars. He was out there handing out donuts like it was some kind of peaceful bake sale instead of a loud, chaotic occupation that made life miserable for regular Canadians.
It's like he was auditioning for the role of Prime Minister by saying, I'll throw Canada into chaos, and I'll even bring the snacks. That sounds pretty familiar to me.
Yeah, it's Trump's playbook, Canadian edition. At the end of the day, Canada thrives on unity, not division. If Polievre wants to lead, he needs to show he's capable of more than just playing to the loudest voices in the room. Because if he keeps cozying up to chaos, he might just find that Canadians prefer their donuts without a side of anarchy. Guess what? Donald Trump has declared that Canada is begging to become the 51st state. And his proof? Well, Canadians are jealous of the American healthcare system.
Wait, what? Jealous of the American healthcare system? That's like being jealous of a sinking yacht because it has a bigger anchor. Come on. Let's dive into all the amazing benefits Canadians would enjoy with the U.S. healthcare system.
Number 1, medical debt is the #1 cause of personal bankruptcy in the U.S. Number 2, 56 million Americans struggle with medical debt each year. And number 3, as of 2022, 250,000 GoFundMe campaigns raised $650 million for health costs.
Yeah, because nothing says world-class healthcare like crowdfunding for your grandma's chemo. Why would I want to trade my free hospital stays and my free doctor's visit for GoFundMe campaigns? I don't even like asking my neighbors to borrow sugar. Americans, they get bankrupt from medical bills. Canadians, we get bankrupt from buying $900 hockey sticks for our 8-year-olds.
So Trump is out there saying, Canada loves American healthcare. Believe me, they tell me all the time, Donald, we want your healthcare.
This guy lies so much, I'm convinced he wakes up in the morning, looks in the mirror and says, wow, I'm 6'5" and 180 pounds, and everybody thinks I'm a genius.
And somehow, nobody calls him on it. What is going on?
Honestly, Trump claiming that Canada loves American healthcare is like someone showing up to your house with a burnt casserole and saying, I know you want my recipe.
No, Don, we don't. Keep your casserole, your healthcare, and your lies south of the border.
Oh, and Trump also thinks that Canada's been nasty on trade.
Didn't he sign that trade deal with us in his first term and call it the best trade deal in history? Classic Trump move. Break something, then swoop in and pretend he fixed it.
And we have to talk about these tech titans all lined up on stage with Trump.
It was like a Silicon Valley fever dream crossed with a Bond villain convention.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg showed up with his shiny new hairdo.
And Elon Musk, he looked like he was plotting his next big mission. His bobbing-headed, wild eyes practically screamed alien overlord. You could almost hear him thinking, finally, my people will welcome me home.
Welcome back to your motherland, Elon. And why don't you just take the rest of them with you? Then there's Jeff Bezos, grinning like he's about to announce Amazon Prime deliveries to Mars.
And we can't forget Tim Cook from Apple. He was there too, probably working on the next iPresident. One click and democracy's obsolete.
It's like the iPhone, but it's the iPresident.
Honestly, it felt less like an inauguration and more like the ultimate supervillain team-up. Hey, where are those Avengers when you need them anyway?
Oh, and one of my favorites. Trump pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement and the World Health Organization. So not only does he want to pollute the planet, but he's also skipping out on global health emergencies. This is coming from the guy that told us all to drink bleach.
Nothing like being next door to a bad air and the next pandemic just waltzing across the border. It's like living next to someone who refuses to fix their leaky septic tank. It's only a matter of time before it spills into your yard.
And on the climate side, imagine teaming up with someone who says, Who needs renewable energy when I can just keep drilling and burning? It's cheaper, and I'm gonna make a fortune.
Between the smog and the pandemics, Canada would need border control just to keep out the air. And what about all the lakes that we share with the USA? What's going to happen to our pristine water? I don't even want to think about it. Us Canadians might complain about our system sometimes, but no one here is dreaming of trading universal healthcare for crippling debt and second mortgages.
Yeah, we like our healthcare, our loonies.
And if Trump wants Canada so badly, maybe he should just focus on buying Greenland again.
Oh, wait a minute. Denmark told him to. So, nope, I don't think they want him either. So sorry, Trump. Stop spreading that rumor. Nobody wants it. So make sure to subscribe for more reasons why Canada will never be America.
And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a comment on how you feel about the state of the world. And if you hated this video, really make sure to leave a comment because we want to hear from you. See you next week.